Shall we begin?
All right, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the Frankly Francisco podcast. So this week, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I wanted to touch on something that a lot of people don't realize about podcasters, okay? This is an art form as to what we do, and people don't seem to get that we're storytellers. You know, you have people that can tell stories when it comes to movies. You have people that can tell stories when it comes to writing books, poems, things of that nature. We're storytellers on the mic, okay? We can have conversations with the best of them. You know, everybody has their own way of communicating on their own podcast, but this is an art form, okay? This is a way for us to express ourselves that normally we wouldn't have an opportunity to express ourselves. So when you have people who think that what we do is simple, it's not simple. When you have people who want to critique and put us down for the things that we do, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's what it comes down to. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But what we do is an art form. What we do can be elegant. We're storytellers. You have people who do scripted podcasts and they voice over. And you hear some of these people's voices and their voices are captivating. And you sit there and you'll listen to the entire thing. And some of these scripted podcasts, some of these, these crime dramas and some of these, love stories or, life story podcasts, they captivate you because of the person who's behind the mic, the person who's talking. Some people are just made for radio. Some people have what you call a radio voice. Some people are just meant to be behind the mic. And I think it's a disservice when we try to take that away from the folks out there. My big issue comes in when you have a million celebrities, okay, million celebrities out there, and they decide to get into the podcast game. They don't decide to get in the podcast game for any other reason other than they're bored. Because you can't tell me they don't have an outlet, because they absolutely do have an outlet. They're already celebrities. They're on every social media platform you could think of. They voice their opinion on social media, through the actual media, through print. I mean, it's not like their voices are not heard. Their voices are heard on an optimal level. Podcasters, on the other hand, we try to build ourselves up to that point where we get that recognition and we get that notice from the outside world. But when you have celebrities already coming into this game because they're bored, I think they take away shine from people who are trying to build themselves up to actually be recognized and be noticed for the work that they're putting in. And they're getting outshined by these celebrities. Now, don't get me wrong. You have celebrities that this is what they wasn't like A celebrities, they're B celebrities, and they became more of an A celebrity through their podcast. I understand that. But when you have A-listers that are jumping on and doing podcasts because no other reason that they're bored, or you have folks that just, want to make a quick dollar, because at the end of the day, a lot of these celebrities are getting signed to deals that honestly, I don't think they deserve. Like I said, this is just my opinion. You can agree with it or not agree with it. I don't care. I'm just telling you how I feel. Okay. You have these celebrities that jump on and they get signed to these multi-million-dollar deals to do podcasts because the podcast companies know that these people are going to bring in listeners and downloads. But to me, that's a problem. That's a problem to me because they're already millionaires. They already have their money by the other outlets that they're doing. People like me, people like other podcasters that I work with, that I collab with, we're trying to build from the ground up. These people are established already. They don't know anything about struggling in this game. They come in with the top equipment. They come in with top video equipment. They come in with an entire producing team. They come in with everything already handed to them on a silver platter, okay? And if they tell you otherwise, they're lying. Because if you see some of the production value of some of these people when they come into the podcast game and they're famous already, they have top-notch everything. And I don't care if they say, oh, I'm doing this from my house. You're doing this from your house, but guess what? They supply you with everything. They set you up with the top-notch equipment so you don't have to worry about whether your voice is going to crack while you're talking, the best editing software so you're crisp coming in, the best video equipment when you're doing video for this, because a lot of these podcasters now are doing video, because a lot of this stuff has to get seen now. They don't just want to hear you, they want to see you. But to me, it takes away from people like me and people like other podcasters who are trying to build themselves up to actually make it to a certain point where we're actually profitable. And that's the end of the game. Everybody wants to make something out of this at some point. Now, we get into it because we love to do it, because we want to talk to people and we can hold those conversations that I know we can hold. But at the same token, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And a lot of these podcasters are really good at, there's so much talent out there in the podcasting world, so much talent that these people, the way they talk and the way they express themselves. And then you have some podcasts who are absolute trash. I mean, it is what it is, but I never put those people down because they're out doing what they're doing, but you can tell when a podcast is not good. You can tell when a podcast is not good. You can tell when a podcast is good. But I always support everybody. I always want everybody to do their best, to do what they need to do. But a lot of people shouldn't be in this game. A lot of people should be in this game. But to me, celebrities take a lot of the shine away from this particular genre that we're in, because they can get those celebrities. They can get those people that normal podcasters can't get, that lower end podcasters can't focus on. So podcasters like me, it's a struggle to try to get certain people to come on the show, and you reach out. But since you're a nobody, and a lot of these times podcasters they're nobodies, we try to build ourselves up. You're lucky to get a person here. You're lucky to get a person there to come on the show if you can really do it. This is why I try to stay away from the whole celebrity angle. There's maybe 5 celebrities that I ever want to talk to if I could on the podcast. 5, and that is it, that I would really want to get on the show. Other than that, I don't want to deal with celebrity. And this is one of the reasons why, because the celebrity is going to outshine everything you're doing, man. People are going to tune in because the person you're talking to is a celebrity. That might be your biggest episode you've ever had out of your entire, but even though you might have something that you did previous that was better, it was more crisp, you had more heart into it, but it won't get as many views and as many clicks, because guess what? You spoke to a celebrity, and that one alone right there is going to get you 5,000 downloads for the simple fact that it was a celebrity. If I brought in an A-lister and we did an interview, I guarantee you my YouTube and my podcast would have thousands of clicks. You know why? Because too many people care about what's going on in the celebrity world, and they don't care about what's going on in the real world with real people who are struggling and real people who are trying to make it. And that's what I try to bring to the table. So I think we're an art form, and I appreciate all the artists that are in this genre and do what we do. Like I talked about before, we also have an issue within the own podcast community where people want to bury other people. For what reason, I have no idea. Like, we should all be rooting for each other to be successful. It's not always, everybody's not going to be successful in this game. I may not ever end up being successful in this game, but see, I don't rely on this as my full-time income. Would I like it to be full-time? Absolutely. Would I love to be talking to you folks, putting on an episode every other day, 2 episodes a week? Sure. I just don't have the time for it. I'm not making any money off of this right now. I'm not crying about not making any money off. I'm still here talking to you folks. I enjoy talking to you folks. I enjoy bringing you good content. For me, this is art. This is a way for me to resonate through the masses. This is a way for me to create my own echo chamber. It's my own way for me to create my own echo chamber where people can say, hey, man, he's really good at listen to what he has to say. He's really good at this. Listen to this. So I'm an interview podcast. I love to interview people. This is what I do. I love talking to people on a daily basis. So, but when I have to talk to you, essentially the audience, and there's nobody on the other side, it gives me an opportunity to express how I really feel about things. It gives me an opportunity to be able to talk more freely about how I feel about certain things. And some of you folks can be hit with it, and some of you folks can't be hit with it. But in this game, to me, celebrities take away the shine from folks who are ultra talented, who are not getting those opportunities to build a following because they're getting outshined by celebrities who jump in the podcast game. Now, sports podcasts, that's a whole different animal. You have guys who are retired from the NBA, the NFL, that run their own podcast, and they're popular because, I mean, after NFL life, you have to find something to do. So these guys, they jump on and they start doing a podcast because that's their full-time gig now. they're running sports podcasts, which they're really good at because they live that life. They live that life. So I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about celebrities like actors who have the outlet where you see them on the screen of movies every other month. You have guys who just have no business, to me, have no business taking a spot away from someone who else who is trying to build themselves up when these people are multimillionaires already that are jumping into the podcast game. I don't know. Like I said, it's just my opinion. It might rub some people the wrong way. I don't care. We have to be able to be realistic about things. This is a tough business to be in. Not everybody can do this. Not everybody can be longevity in this game. Some people end early on. Some people don't make it a full season. Like I want mine to be an evergreen podcast where, some people structure their stuff as seasons. I'm not trying to do seasons. I'm not trying to do 50 episodes and they say, hey, season 1 is done, we're jumping to season 2. Some people do that. And it's good for them because it keeps them locked in as to what they want to do. I don't want to do that. I think, when you need to take a break, take a break. Like I took a break last week. I just needed a break, needed to step away from the mic, and now I'm back again. There was no podcast that I put out last week. I'm putting out one today. So it's those things. If you need to take a break, take a break. If you're going to do 50 episodes and then say season 1, call it season 1. If you're going to do 100 episodes and call it season 1, call it season 1. There's guys who are workhorses. There's some guys who put out 3 episodes a week. Where they have the time, I have no idea, but good for them because that tells you what their passion is. I only have time to get maybe 3 podcasts done, and it's for 3 different podcasts. So I have one podcast, which is this podcast, which is my interview podcast, which is Frankly Francisco. I also have a sports podcast, which is called For the City. That podcast I run with a partner of mine that he is from Cleveland, and since I have the New York background, I'm a Giants fan, he's a Browns fan. So we talk all things Browns and Giants. Then my third podcast that I do, this one is strictly YouTube. It's not actually on the site. So is my the other podcast is a video podcast. That one is strictly YouTube as well for the City podcast. Then I have my third podcast, which is called Slicing It with Blade. It's a music podcast. It's talking about hip hop. It's talking about the culture. So I'm juggling all 3 things and trying to get as many things as I can going and working the way I can. And I do it because I love it. I don't do it because I'm forced to do it. I do it because I enjoy doing this. This is something that I have a passion for. And when you have a passion for something so strong, I don't do it just because it's something to do like a lot of these celebrities do. Sometimes it's a bummer because I know I'm going to be okay whether I do a podcast or not because I have my regular job. But what about those people who are relying on podcasting and they really are looking for their big break and they can't get it because their spot's being taken by somebody who doesn't need it? It's like anything else. If you're good at what you do, people are going to notice you, but sometimes not necessarily true. Hard work doesn't always equate to you getting where you need to get in life. So when people tell you, oh, work hard, you get where you need to go, BS. I know people who've worked to the bone their whole life and they've gotten nowhere. So that sentiment when people say, oh, just keep working, you'll get noticed on the road. That's a lie. There's no guarantee how hard you work, you're going to get noticed by somebody. It just doesn't work that way. This game is not about what you know. This game is about who you know. And if you have a connection to get yourself into the door, use that connection. Point blank, period. So if you know somebody's going to help you elevate your career, do that. Okay. Especially in this type of environment when it comes to media. People are very cutthroat in this business, man, because people don't like to be outshined by anybody else. People do not like to be outshined by anybody else. If you have a podcaster that's pulling numbers, his IG is blowing up, he's got social media locked down, he's got followers, he's building a good, platform, you're going to have people who's going to come in is going to hate on the guy or girl or person, period. Because people don't like to be outshined by somebody else. And that's the mentality that we have in this game. It's crabs in a barrel. We need to do better when it comes to that. There should be something that we can do, okay, to help each other out instead of just trying to bury a podcaster or, bury a personality. And there's a ton of people out there that want to supposedly help us in our ventures. You have these fake promoters. Oh, hey, promoter on this site. we'll get you 1,000 followers right away. No, they're not getting you 1,000 followers. What they're doing is they're buying your followers for you. Okay. They're buying your followers for you. They're buying comments for you. They're buying likes for you. That's disingenuous. I don't like that. If you're going to build your repertoire, you're going to build your profile, you're going to build your podcast, do it the right way. Because I see people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, and guess what? When they do lives, you maybe have 10 people that get on there. How does that happen? If you really have a base, people are going to follow you. I see other podcasters that get on there that have maybe 1,000 followers, but yet they'll have 100 people on the live, 200 people on the live, because people are actually invested in what they're talking about and what they're doing. So it all depends. It all depends. At some point, this will continue. January will be my 1-year anniversary doing this show. Okay. I didn't think I was going to make it this far, just like everybody else. 7 episodes, I thought I was going to be done. You know, you hit a wall. I ran into some situations where I didn't think I was going to be able to keep going with this, but this is something I'm passionate about. This is something I love doing. So I'm going to continue rolling and keep going where I need to go. You know, things will get better. I'm going to promote my stuff my way. I'm not going to pay somebody to promote my stuff, because at the end of the day, they're not really promoting you. All they're doing is taking your money, and they're using part of that money to buy followers, to buy likes, to buy comments, YouTube, IG. It's amazing what you can do with money these days. I mean, it's so many websites that you can go to now. YouTube even has whole channels dedicated to people buying followers, because it's a quick way to build your rep, but it's not really a rep that you're building. You're falsifying your numbers. You're falsifying what you're doing. Like my views on YouTube right now, I'm only averaging maybe 20 views per video. If that, 20, maybe 20, 30, depending on the videos. I have 2 videos that got over 1,000 views. The next one has almost 100 views. The rest of them are in the 20s or in the 10s. You know, I haven't done this for a year. YouTube is not an easy thing, a platform to get on to start building, but it takes time. Just like your downloads here. Like I have some downloads that are over 100. Have some downloads that are only 20. I have some downloads that are only 30 or 15. It depends on what it is. You people can't get mad because their podcast hasn't taken off if they just started. It doesn't work that way. I know Cast has been doing this for 2 years, and they still haven't gotten where they need to be. But they don't complain about it because they love doing it. They love doing it. And most of these cats have a 9-to-5, like I do. We all want to do this full time. Why not? Who doesn't want to do this full time? Who doesn't want to sit back and have to not worry about signing a contract, making $60 million a year, $1 million a year, $2 million a year, $500,000 a year, talking into a mic and talking to people, having interviews with people, having the best equipment. Who don't want that? Most podcasters out there would love it. But some of these podcasters ain't built for this business. They're just not. I root for everybody to succeed. Everybody. I think everybody has a right to go try and make their money. Everybody has a right to try to make themselves go be happy. But there's no participation trophies in this business, just like there isn't in life. If something's not working for you, guess what? They're not just going to hand you money. They're not going to say, hey, take this money because, I feel bad for you because you've been in this game for a long time and you haven't gotten any headway. It don't work that way. You need to hustle. Okay. I'm not saying work hard. I'm not saying not to work hard. You have to work hard, but you have to hustle. Okay. It's going to take more than you talking on the mic and you throwing it up on a page. You have to get out there. You have to promote yourself. You have to collaborate with other podcasters because their audience is different than your audience. Okay. You have to do all that stuff. You can't sit back on your laurels and think, hey, I make good content. It'll pick up on its own. It don't work that way. I know artists right now, music artists, who still have to pay to play. Can you believe that? They still have to do payola, which is insane to me. You have to pay us. You still have to pay a radio station to sit down and interview you and let them play your music. Why? When you have SoundCloud, you have Spotify. You can make more money right now on Spotify for your music than anything else. because you get paid a larger percentage when people click on your music or buy your music on Spotify than you would on any other platform, than dealing with these music producers in these studios. You know why? Because these studios are built for you to lose money. People think when they sign a contract, especially in music, they give you an upfront advance. Guess what? That advance comes out of your money. Studio time, cars, jewelry, everything that you buy, and expenses. You know what I'm saying? The money for the actual shoot for the video, all that comes out of that. And by the time it's all said and done, you're in the negative. It's better for you to be able to do things on your own. Period. You have to be able to be willing to go out there, get your hands dirty, put the work in, make those connections, do interviews you don't want to do. Because some people you don't want to interview, but you know if you interview them, it's going to help your path along the way. You don't have to like everybody to work with them. Just respect them. I don't have to like you, but I'm going to give you enough to respect that we can sit down, we can have a civil conversation about something. I don't have to like you as a person, but I can like the work that you do. And some people don't know how to separate the two. They don't know how to separate it. You can't distinct two different things. You don't have to like the person, but respect their art. Respect what they do. There's some people in the podcast game right now I can't stand. You know what I'm saying? But I keep those things to myself. Can't stand certain people, but I don't say anything about it because it's not beneficial to me. It doesn't help. Why? I'm not going to call out anybody. But I respect their hustle. I respect that the work they're putting in. But do I respect the way they go about certain things? Absolutely not. It's just not, it's not for me. But I respect the hustle they put in. I respect the art that they're doing. I respect the podcast episodes that they're putting out, the content that they're putting out. I just don't respect them as a person. And I have my own reasons for that. I don't have to explain those reasons to anybody. But I can still work with those people. Because they don't know I have to know how I feel about them. They just have to know that I respect them and the art form that they have and what they do, and willing to go out there and hustle with them. Like I said, my biggest thing is I want everybody to eat, but you don't have to eat at my table. We all can make money. We all can do the things we need to do. But for people out there who don't understand what we do here as an art form, wake up. Wake up. This is not just opinions. This is not just opinions that people speak. It's an art form. It's what flows out of them, like anything else. I can take a paintbrush and slap paint of all different colors against the wall. Some people are going to be like, what the hell is that? And then you're going to have others saying, that is absolutely brilliant. It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. I look at this as an art form. You may look at it as somebody that's just on the mic talking. Anybody can do that. You sure about that? That's not reality. Everybody has their own perspective on what this is and what's not. To me, my view of things is we are an art. We have an art form. Speaking is not easy. Stringing words together consistently is not easy. When you have too many things running through your head, some folks don't know how to manage that when they're on the mic. Even when I first got on this, I was struggling the same way. Every other word coming out of my mouth was That was every other word coming out of my mouth. But like everything else, over time, it gets better. You make less and less mistakes. Your cadence gets better when you're speaking. And this is where you put in the work. This is where you put in the time to perfect your craft. You're always going to learn. This is not an industry where you can sit back and go, I've done everything I needed to do. It don't work that way. You have to stay relevant in this business. You can blow up like this and then be gone tomorrow because they can get tired of you very, very quickly. If you're not keeping things fresh, if you're regurgitating the same thing over and over again, if you're talking about the same subject matter, let's say you want to talk celebrities, but you're constantly talking celebrities, people are going to get tired of that. People are going to get tired of that. It's like guys like Joe Rogan. You have a big contingent of people that love Joe Rogan. You have a big contingent of people that hate Joe Rogan because they think his podcast runs way too long. But see, Joe Rogan loves what he does. People love listening to Joe Rogan If they can't stomach the whole 3 hours, what they do is they break it down into segments. You don't have to hear the entire podcast. You can just break it down into in segments that you want to hear. It's the same thing with anything else. That's why I keep my podcast 30 minutes. Because some folks don't want to sit there for an hour listening to a conversation. They just don't. So I try to respect people's times. I want to give you something to listen to where you're going to enjoy. That's not going to take up too much of your day. Some podcasters put an hour out podcast, hour and a half, 2-hour podcast, because they have a lot to say. I also have a lot to say, but I try to break it down to a more reasonable time where people have an opportunity to listen. Because, I mean, a lot of people don't have an hour to sit through an entire podcast. And I give credit to those guys who are putting out 2 episodes a week, hour-long podcasts for every episode that they do. I mean, respect to you. I can't do it. I'll give you everything I got within that half-hour time frame. My interviews, when I have people on the show, I'll give you everything I got with those interviews. I make my guests feel comfortable. I let my guests speak. I make my guests feel valued because they are valued. My job is not to outshine my guest. Point blank, period. And a lot of these podcasters have this mentality where you're not letting your guests speak the way they want to speak. You're cutting into what they're saying constantly. Let them speak. That's why you brought them on the show. You brought them on the show to let them express themselves. Let them talk about how they feel. Ask your question. Let them talk. And then when you see that they're running out of things to say, come and do a rebuttal or ask the next question. Well, you have some of these podcasters that go just talk over people, and it gets very, very annoying. It gets very, very annoying. I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot from all different walks of life, English, Spanish. You know what I mean? I listen to a plethora, Hispanic podcasts, Black podcasts, white podcasters. I listen to a lot because I want to see what the art form is. I want to see how they're doing it. I want to see how they speak, what their cadence is, how they handle themselves. Is there long pauses? Is there short pauses? This is not an easy thing. Because if you're too long with a pause on the microphone, it kind of throws off the whole vibe. If the pauses are way too long, then it doesn't feel like the podcast is in sync. But if you're talking way too fast like this, it throws off the podcast because people are going to go, what is he talking about? Why is he speaking so fast? They're not going to understand you. So I think at some point we have to be able to work on ourselves and hone our craft. And I think we'll be fine. Somebody's going to come up with something that's going to benefit the little guy more than the big guy. People who are millionaires, people who have money already, they have the advantage over people like us who don't. They have the advantage because they can get the best tools. I have a Samsung mic that I'm using right now. Okay, my camera is a camera from Amazon that I brought for $24. I have my ring light here. I have a smaller ring light as well. You know, I would love to have a $4,000 setup. It just doesn't work that way. We all have to start from somewhere. We have to invest in what we do. And I think the more we invest, the better quality podcast that we put out, the more listeners you're going to get. Now, the video side is a whole different animal because originally this wasn't supposed to be video podcast, but like I said, some people are more visual and they want to see who's talking to them. Some podcasters don't want that. Some podcasters are strictly just throw it up on the streaming services, let people tune in and listen to it. I want people to see me is different. I want people to see who's talking to them. I want people to understand who I am, the person that they're speaking to them. I think it creates a better connection with the customer, with the listener. That's my financial background leaking through. It creates a better connection with the listener if they can see you. I believe that. It might not work for everybody else. But at the end of the day, I want to build this thing to where I can bring in other podcasters and we can all make some money together. Is that going to happen anytime soon? No, no. But am I in a rush to get it there? No, because I know I'm stable enough outside of this game where I can take my time in this game to do what I need to do to try to build myself to the point where I can say, hey, man, I'm full time. Hey, man, I got the sponsors that I was looking for. You guys got me twice in a week. You know, we can do 45-minute, hour-long episodes, bring you, you know, keep bringing you the guests that I'm going to bring you. All that stuff takes time. All that stuff takes time. For everybody out there that has a dream, keep pushing for it. Keep pushing. But think reality too. Then I want you to think reality, and I want you to think really, really hard and understand. Sometimes you can work as hard as you want to work. Does not mean you're going to get to where you need to be. Reach for your goals and reach for your dreams. But at the same token, understand sometimes reality is going to slap you in the face. And you have to have a backup plan. Have a backup plan. Invest in yourself outside of this game here. Invest in yourself outside of being a podcaster. So anyway, I appreciate you folks listening in. I just had to get my little rant on that. And, you know, I appreciate you guys. Anybody who tunes into me, you know, all my listeners that download the podcast, thank you, you know, for tuning in and allowing me to come into your lives for half hour every time. And thank you for allowing me to bring guests on the show for you guys to meet. These people are so talented that I bring on the show. It's amazing the talent they have: actors, authors, hip hop artists. There's so much talent out there in the world that's not getting enough love and enough hubbub. They're just not reaching, you know, the heights and getting the notoriety that they should. So I try to do that. I try to bring that to you, and I'll continue to try bringing it to you. So just keep doing what you're doing, keep pushing what you're pushing. I will see you guys next week. I appreciate you guys listening in on the show. Thank you. And we will talk next week. Have a good day.